I went to this Vipassana 10-day silent meditation retreat this last, 2 weeks or so. Got back on Sunday, and one of the commitments I had is to not eat meat as much and eat more vegetables and become more of that person. And I'm just so grateful that life is a process. Life is a freaking process, and it's a series of choices. And to be too strict and disciplinarian and ritualistic and just only closed-minded is not a empowering way to live. And then also to be too loose and not care and just be all over the place with your values and incongruent and out of integrity. That's not a way to live either. It's such a path of balance. Life is all about balance. And I'm just so grateful to be on the path and to be able to give myself grace and the compassion and the ability to experience, like I was thinking today, I usually go, I have many times, probably, out of the last 52 marathons I've done, I've probably gone to In-N-Out Burger 20 plus times. It's been like a ritual, a thing that I do. And it's just been a lot of fun to do that. But I'm grateful because I made this choice. Like, I don't really want to eat meat anymore. I know kind of what it does to me. I know the impact that it has on animals. Nothing to laugh about. But I just thought it was kind of humorous that I lost my presence to that. Like, when you think about all of the stuff in it and how the animals are mistreated and what we're putting in our body, makes you want to eat it less. But I was like, dude, I just want to go to In-N-Out after tonight's marathon. Like, I just have a craving for it. This craving, right? Craving. And at the 10-day silent meditation retreat, it was talking about cravings and aversions. So it was just interesting. We're going to dive into that. I totally was not going to talk about that as a part of this topic. I was going to cut that off and then start the interview, start this process. Because we're going to talk about experience, radical presence, power, and love through silence. But I wasn't planning on talking about that. And that was actually kind of relevant. So now we're going to be talking about the topic, which is experience radical presence, power, and love through silence. So, power, presence, and love. These are things that I personally desire. And I think a lot of people desire it. Some people are weird about power. But, I really think that power is the power to create. Power is the power to break through anything that's trying to stop you, resistance, the power to manifest, the power to be your greatest possible self. Power, it's like the power is juice, is life, is energy. So power, love, and presence. Power, presence, power, and love. Presence, of course, you get presence through silence, because when you are present, when you're silent, you have to be present. Well, not necessarily, you could be doing stuff, but anyways, 10-day silent meditation, you get very present. And then love, you experience that love because what else is there in life? If you're not experiencing pain and suffering, if that's not your thing, some people might want that and want to invite more of that into their life. Me, personally, not. I choose love. The other side of the coin is love, a natural state, a default of love. Through silence, I believe our universe is based in love, and there's yin yang, so to speak. Anyways, I believe that through silence, you're able to discover that love for yourself. And that's one of the major reasons why I went to this 10-day silent meditation retreat over the last, I got back on Sunday. Because I wanted to love myself more. I wanted to reconnect. I wanted to discover more of who I am. I wanted to speak my truth more often. I wanted to be more in integrity. I wanted to be more in alignment. I wanted to have clarity. I wanted to know that I'm on the right track. I wanted to listen to my inner knowing. I wanted to listen to nature, to Mother Nature, to get in tune with the silence so I can discover that presence, power, and love. It totally happened. So just a side note, I did an hour-long Facebook Live on this last night, which was May 8th. May 8th was last night. So if you're listening to this replay or whatever it might be, and you want to listen to the full breakdown of this, what I'm about to talk to in much more in depth and detail that I'm not going to get into specifically here, but right before the event, I had 103.5 degree fever. I went to the emergency room 2 hours away from Vegas into California. On the way back, my girlfriend was driving me on the way back. My alternator blew up. I had all these doubts about, am I going to make it? Why is this happening? Why me? Is this a sign that I shouldn't be going? Should I postpone till the future? And I ended up getting my car repaired in less than 24 hours. Awesome, super cool. And then getting to the silent meditation retreat. But I'm just so grateful that I got there because the experience was profound. The ability to disconnect from the rat race, from the hamster wheel, from the autopilot, from the constant pulling of society, of expectations, of programming, of the media, of these things, this paradigm, this dream that people get sold. It was great to just get away from that and see what comes up, see what happens in my mind, in my subconscious. Who do I become when I'm disconnected from the machine, so to speak? And it was just really awesome to dive into my truth, my self, my joy, my shadows, my aversions. I was talking about cravings and aversions right before this. One of the big things that Vipassana teaches you is to notice your cravings and aversions. And those are impurities in the mind, and it's important to let those go. So if you want to be present, powerful, and loving, you have to get those impurities out of your system. And so the way that they had us do this is by basically releasing meditation to be able to release it rather than do something about it. It's kind of just you don't think about it, and as a natural byproduct of this meditation technique, it's able to dissipate and go away. So I highly recommend Vipassana retreat. Doing that 10-day silent meditation retreat was super, super awesome. Yishu says, silence means alone quietly. I think there's a lot of definitions to silence. One of the things, you can be alone, you can stop the external stimulus, you can get to a quiet environment. You could be in nature and have birds chirping, have a stream bubbling right next to you, and hear nature, and that's still silence. That's getting back to nature, the silence of nature. But even that, that might be sounds. You might consider that sounds. So one might ask themselves, and something I've pondered on, is the space between the sounds, the silence between the sounds. What's behind the bird chirping? What are the sounds behind that? What's behind the sound of the babbling brook? I'm in my room right now. And what's behind the sound of the computer fan? What's behind the sound of the air conditioning? What is that silence? Besides those two noises, can I hear the silence? Can I be present to the silence that exists beyond those things, that exists seemingly separate and apart? One of the things that I see as silence is the space between things. So in a rhythm, you have a rhythm. To have that specific rhythm, that meaning, you have to have the silence in between the beats. There's a different amount of silence in this pattern. So there's a different meaning there. So behind the sounds of our environment, there's a different meaning. So if I'm in my room, I might hear a different type of silence than if I'm out in nature and I hear the sounds out there and I experience the silence of nature behind the babbling brook, the crickets, the birds, the bees, whatever noises that are going on. There's a silence between that. And if we can be so present to tune into that silence, that is a place of magic. That is a place of infinite gifts. There's infinite gifts waiting there for us in the silence, because we're listening. We're training ourselves to be highly intent on our listening, to choose the focus of our listening. It's easy to listen to the air conditioning fan. It's easy to listen to my computer fans. It's easy to listen to the bird, to the babbling brook, to the bees, to the chirping of crickets. It's easy to focus on that. It's not so easy to hear or see the silence in between. Yet if we are present to that, I believe there's gifts in that. There's wisdom in that. There's nature. There is phenomena, untold phenomena in that. So the space between, if we're listening to that, how does that relate to presence, power, and love, and silence? Well, if you want to be present, think about this. If you want to be present with someone, and you're listening to them, there's silence. Are you aware of the silence in between the words that this person is saying? Are you aware of the spaces and the gaps in the tonality, what they are saying verbally, what they're not saying? It's important to know what someone is saying just as much as it is to notice what they are not saying. There's a silence in their not saying. So if you want to be present with someone, connected with someone, you have to be silent, and there's a certain approach to silence. You can't just be completely silent and not talk, and if they ask for your feedback, you just sit there silently. So what do you think of this? They say hello, 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 because they're expecting something back. But you can be the person who controls the silence too, going into power. You want power, be able to control the flow, the rhythm. Power is being able to say, I'm going to take the tempo up from this to this to this. It's like that power to be able to control the tempo, the flow of life through silence. The spaces in between the noise is power. That silence is power. To be able to change and modulate and lengthen, shorten the silence is power. To be able to say my words without speeding up, or to create pregnant pauses. That is power. I have power over your listening. Whoever's listening or watching this right now, you are interpreting my message a certain way because of the amount of silence that I'm using in my words. So think about when you give yourself that space of silence. When you go somewhere, think about this. Like you can have the power to control how other people hear things. You can have the power to adjust the tempo so that people interpret a different meaning instead of a slow, steady rhythm. You can have a very fast rhythm and a very fast pace and a very fast tempo. That's power. That's power, right? We said power at the beginning is power to create a state in someone. How do I want this person to feel? Do I want them to feel rushed? Then I talk in a very quick high tempo tone that makes them feel rushed, and I don't stop, and I keep going, and I keep going, and I keep going, and I keep going. They're like, well, when is he going to stop? When is he going to slow down? He's speaking too fast. I can't keep up with him. That is power to have people feel rushed. If I want people to feel sedated, then I soften my voice. I speak a little slower and calmer. And now you're getting tired of my voice. It's putting you into a relaxed state. It's putting me into a relaxed state. I feel freaking relaxed when I start talking like that. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to fall asleep on this microphone. So, the silence is power. How do you use the silence? Yes, of course, tonality and that kind of stuff, but the big thing is the spaces, the gap, the intensity, the frequency. Frequency creates emotions. If I have a higher frequency, happens faster, that's a more intense, it's a faster heartbeat, it's a more excited, more exhilarated, more rushed, versus it's a slow, steady, calming beat. So think about this. If you're feeling rushed and overwhelmed, like, let's take it practical. One thing you could literally start doing is if you feel rushed, overwhelmed, stressed out, anxious, ADD, you can start like tapping. You create a pattern based on your particular, frequency of how you're feeling. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And you can translate it into your physiology, and then you can use your physiology to slow yourself down. I want to slow 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 down. I want to calm down. I'm calming down. I'm calming down. I'm experiencing more peace. 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 So that's like one way you could literally change your frequency, your intensity, your anxiety, your fear, your overwhelm. And like if you don't know it, if you are so unconscious to it, if it's like an unprogrammed thing, do that. Start like when you notice your foot bouncing on the floor because you're just so hyped up with energy, and then start to like slow it down, and then slow it down, and slow it down, and then stop. And then stop your foot. And have that control, have that power. So, in terms of silence and creating literal silence in your life, you go to an area where you're silent. You go to the woods, the forest, your meditation room, wherever it might be that you're able to achieve and experience that silence. And how do you get power when you do that? Well, you get power over your unconscious mind. You get power over your autopilot, right? I think that's some serious power that a lot of people are lacking. The discipline of consciousness, the discipline of being present in the moment. So if you want power to be, do, and have anything that you want, first of all, you got to be aware of, yes, you have to have the vision. Where do you want to go? What's the destination, right? I think that's number one, is why do you want this presence? If you don't have a strong why, strong vision, then you're not going to take the steps necessary to do this stuff. But the second step is being aware. Where are you at right now? And a lot of people are so unaware about their unconscious programming, the thoughts, the beliefs, the limiting beliefs, the blind spots, right? These blind spots. Silence creates the ability to discover blind spots. It creates awareness. It creates expansion of awareness, of consciousness, of presence, to be aware of your blind spots. So if you are suffering, if you're stuck, if you don't know what the heck you're freaking doing, start meditating. Start meditating and giving yourself space. Start journaling. Ask yourself a question. Why am I stuck? What has been keeping me stuck? What have I been allowing to keep me stuck? What have I been irresponsible about when it comes to being stuck? And give yourself the space. Just write the question, put your pen down, and silence, space, power power to discover the answer, to get clarity. If that doesn't work, go out to a forest. You want more space, more silence, more power? Go to like 2, 3, 5 hours out in nature and give yourself that gift of silence. Are you able to do that? Do you have the power to do that? Or are you so unconsciously on autopilot that you need to be working all the time? You need to be at work. You need to take care of your kids. You need to be there for your spouse, your significant other. You need to be on this hamster wheel. If that's the case and you have no power, if that's the case then you feel overwhelmed. You feel anxious, full of stress and tension and overwhelm. Give yourself silence, the gift of silence, to create more presence. Because when you're silent, you get that power. You go to 5 hours into nature, you come back refreshed. You come back able to actually hear your kids. You come back able to actually hear your significant other. You come back able to focus on your work. Give yourself the break, the gift of silence, to release the unserving energy and frequency, tension, anxiety, stress, overwhelm. Give yourself silence, space, the space between. There's no space to let go of the tension, the overwhelm in that frequency, in that pattern. But if it's, and then 10 minutes later, and then 10 minutes later, that's some space. That's more space that you might be able to start letting go of some stuff. And when you're out in nature, you might be able to start decreasing that pattern, the frequency of the pattern, to create more space to be able to let go of your stuff. So we talked about presence, talked about power. What about love? How does silence create more love? Like radically. These are all radical stuff, right? This is not like, hey, just journal. It's not, I think it's interesting. Is this complex? Would you say this is complex? You say there's elements of complexity, but mostly it's simple. I don't know. That's my thoughts. I'm having fun. This is awesome. It's creating the space to feel, to be. Petty, I love this. Sometimes when we felt tired during the day, what should we do to increase the energy? Meditation for 30 minutes. That's definitely one thing. Meditation, a nap. You can give yourself, there's lots of techniques to charge yourself up. A lot of people when they're still for a long period of time, their body is just tired. Maybe you need to activate your body. There's techniques to, tap your meridians, the meridians on your body, the energy flowing centers on your body, to be able to activate your body. You can, do tapping, EFT, all kinds of amazing stuff, but there's lots of different solutions that might give you energy. It depends on which one is appropriate for you. I think a lot of people go for too long. They're too focused and too blocked in for hours and hours, that they burn out and they need that nap or the meditation for 30 minutes and during the middle of the day. Versus if you give yourself 15-minute breaks every 90 minutes, you might be able to go for longer and not need that thing. So that's just something that to consider. We were talking about love. How do you get more love? Through silence. With silence, you create space to feel. And I mentioned earlier, what does everyone want to feel automatically? Love, connection, significance, importance, having fun, adventure, all these good feelings. Nobody wants to feel negative feelings on autopilot naturally all the time. So if you create silence, you're able to release the negative feelings, because if you're aware, if you have the presence to know that you are not feeling good, you're not happy, you're not empowered, you're not excited, if you have the presence to feel that, if you're not feeling self-love, if you have the presence to manage and monitor your thoughts and just be thinking, man, I just did such a crappy job at work with my significant other the other day on my house remodel. I just did such a terrible job. And you just start noticing those thoughts then you're able to start changing them. Then you have this place of power that you're able to do something about it. So it's so critical to create the silence, to let go, to create the space, to remove the limiting programming, to notice it, be aware of it if it's there, have the power to release it, change it, all kinds of amazing techniques to reprogram your mind. But really, when you go through that, when you go through the experience of silence, you experience more love. You experience more connection because you're present with people. You're able to listen. You want more love from people, freaking hear them. Ask them about their life. Ask them about what's important to them. They'll be like, oh my gosh, Chris Burns, you are the best listener ever. I just love talking to you. It's so much fun, and it makes such a difference in my life. It's so fulfilling, so rewarding, and I just want to do it all day long. That's love. I get lots of love from that. Also, I believe it takes an element of self-love to be able to listen to others. If you don't have that self-love, if you don't have that self-confidence, self-compassion and care, then you probably feel like you need to share with people, or you need to prove to people why you're so awesome and how awesome your life is, how great your life is, all these accomplishments and achievements. And so you tend to dominate the conversation with your achievements, your accomplishments, your conversation, your needs, your insecurities being masked, your insecurities masked by conversation about what you're working on, what you're stuck with, what you're struggling with, what's not working, what's working, whatever. If you want to love yourself, create that silence. Create the silence so you give yourself the self-love and self-care, so you have more than enough to give to others. You have more than enough time and energy and capacity to be present for someone else so that they can share and express what's important to them. If you don't have self-love, ego talks instead of love. That's powerful. That's gold right there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pethia's like, love this. We're going deep. Going deep in this one. I was like, is this complicated? I think this is a deep combo. So now what? Now what do we do? Well, you got to figure out which one of these are you at. Are you at the present stage? Like you're not even present, you're just on autopilot. Are you at the power stage where you're present, you're aware, but you're just not taking that power back? You're not claiming your power, you're not choosing to adjust. The tempo. Are you being responsible for your power to do that? Or are you at the love stage where you have given yourself the time, you've taken the time, dedicated, put it into your schedule, told people I'm not available, told people, yes, I can come to your concert, no, I can't come to your concert, whatever the answer is, so you can give yourself that space. Is that the stage that you're at? Let's take this to a little bit more practical example. Where might people be struggling with giving themselves silence? You might say, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I don't have enough time to give myself silence and do meditation every day. Yep. And as long as you don't figure out a way to make that space, you will stay too busy. They say if you're not able to, I love that phrase. Someone says, I don't have a specific source for it right now. If you're not able to meditate for 15 minutes, then do 30. If you're not able to meditate for 30 minutes, do 60. If you're not able to meditate for 20, do 40. Whatever the amount is, if you're not able to do it, if you have excuses, if you're not powerful enough to create your reality in your life, then you must find a way to create the space to do it. Do you have a disciplined practice of meditation? If not, someone posted today, like, that's one of the number one signs of high achievers and performers is meditation and mindfulness. So that meditation is literally someone saying, I have the freaking power to say how my life goes, not how goes my life. How my life goes me. I don't know. Anyways, basically, you tell your life what to do, not your life telling you what to do. For people who are not able to meditate or make an excuse, I can't do it, doesn't work for me, blah, blah, blah. That's power that you do not have, that someone does not have. So if you're making that excuse, you definitely need to meditate. You definitely need to find some way to get to nature. It doesn't have to be meditating, sitting, crossing your legs, and closing your eyes and breathing in and out. That's one way to meditate. You can meditate while eating. You can meditate while walking. You can meditate while fishing. You can meditate while, I don't know if like typing as much, but while you're doing these automatic unconscious things, be aware of what you're doing. Be there doing it. When you're brushing your teeth, like slowly brush your teeth up and down. You're supposed to go up and down, by the way, not left and right. Up and down. When you're doing that, go slow. Be present. When you're washing your face, like feel your face. Feel every pore. Feel every hair, every wrinkle, every crease, everything. Be more present. Be more mindful. But start making time that's dedicated to the silence. I start to practice self-love. Give myself space of silence to know who I am. That is beautiful. Awesome job, Yishu. You deserve a round of applause. Great job. Great job. Start giving yourself that space of silence. Even if it's 3 freaking minutes when you jump in the car, one of the best ways to start practicing meditation and mindfulness is to create gaps, to create transition gaps. If you're getting into your car, take 3 minutes of sitting there, set a timer, and don't do anything. Just sit there and let the last activity that you were doing, whether it's eating breakfast, whether it was doing work, whether it was playing with the kids, whatever, sit there in the car for 3 minutes. And you know what? If you have kids, I think a lot of people have kids. Maybe not. I mean, who listen to this, I think a good amount do, but not. I don't think a lot of people who have kids that are like, 0 to 15 are entrepreneurs. I don't know. Maybe that's just a belief that I have, but I think it seems like a lot of people who are entrepreneurs are young and don't have any commitments, or older and their kids are all or mostly grown up. I think the large majority of the entrepreneurs who do that, who are in my life for that. Maybe not. I don't know. It's interesting stereotype or judgment or generalization that I have. Anywho, we're talking about silence, creating silence. For people who have their kids, the silence, being able to create the silence. Are you able to have your kids sit still for 3 minutes in your car? When you take your kids from the house, eating breakfast, eating cereal, and you say, hey, jump in the car, jump in the car, jump in the car. And they jump in the car. The first thing they do is jump on their phone or start playing with each other, hitting each other, whatever it might be. Like, do you have the power to say, let's sit here for 3 minutes and be present? Because if they don't do it, one, it's not too late. There's always hope. Give yourself a break. Figure out how. Ask me how. If you want some strategies, we will get your kids freaking disciplined in the transition meditation 3 minutes, if that's something that's important to you. And start creating that in your environment around you. Discipline the people around you. Discipline if you go into work at a certain time or start work at a certain time, and people expect you to do something and you want more of a buffer, more space, and you want to meditate at morning, afternoon, whatever, just tell people, I do this at this time. I'm not going to be available. Or join me. Whichever works better. So that's one example. Silence, Yishu was mentioning. But if I'm going slow and feeling the present and doing a time constraint task, I found it hardly to push myself to another extent. If I'm going slow and feeling the present and doing a time constrained task, I found it's hard to push myself to another extent. I'm trying to read that effectively. It's challenging. Going slow and feeling the present and doing a time constrained task. So you're going slow, you're feeling the present, and you're doing something that like time is constrained and you need to get it done. I found hardly to push myself to another extent. Hardly to push myself to, it's hard to push yourself. It's hardly to push myself to another extent. Hardly. Found hardly. It's hard, it's easy, it's harder to push myself. So if you're going present, I think what the difficulty is, if you're present, if you're going slow and you need to get a task done in a certain amount of time, you don't want to be slow and present. You want to be faster, and it's difficult for you to push yourself to be faster. Let me know if that's accurate. Yes. Okay. So it's difficult to push yourself to be faster. The question is, what's your limiting belief that says it's hard to go faster once I'm present? You could do something, a state change, get up, jump up, and walk around in a circle, spin around in a circle. If you want to speed up, if you want to do jumping jacks, do push-ups, do squats. If you want to run to the edge of the room and back, and then sit down, get the blood flowing again. There's all kinds of different ways to amp yourself up. You can just sit in your chair and close your eyes and like rev up in your mind. You can hit the meridians, tap the meridians. You can do all kinds of different things to speed yourself up if you feel like you're going too slow. So those are just some solutions. Love it. And we are having a lot of fun, definitely. So, the power of silence is incredible. And I have so much work to do in terms of silence and giving myself more silence, giving myself the gift of more silence. Silence is so great to unshoulder the burden of expectation, the massive burden of expectation that so many people are walking around with. It's a heavy one. Expectation to perform, expectation for your kids to have a house, to have a certain job, certain income level. Silence is a great way to just be and accept and embrace and create peace, create ease, create flow, create vibration raising of love. Because you slow down, you stop the machinery, you stop the autopilot, so you can hear your truth. You can hear what the priority is. You can hear how to get clear on your top priority. So if you want more power, presence, power, and love in your life, create opportunities for silence. Give yourself that gift. Engineer it into your life, into your environment. We had Roslyn on earlier, who's talking about how your state of mind is constructed. Your environment determines your thoughts, determines your beliefs, determines your state of mind. Your state of mind is determined by your beliefs. Your beliefs are determined by your thoughts. And your thoughts are determined by your environment. So change your environment to create silence, to create presence, to create power, to create love. You want those three things. Get into a new environment. Get into an environment of silence, of nature, of going inward, going within, appreciating yourself, loving yourself, nurturing yourself, giving yourself space and healing so that you can show up in life. Every day I would say I'm hustling, but every day I'm shuffling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm meditating, every day I'm shuffling. 3 syllables. Silencing. Being silent. Anyways, have fun, love life, be a little bit more silent. And I do still highly, highly recommend checking out the adventure that was my 10-day silent meditation retreat and the debrief from that on my Facebook on May 8th. The video from May 8th. Check it out. Yo! Curtis says bettering. Absolutely 1000%. Yeshu says yep. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this Greatest Possible Self episode. Love you.